Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name is Connor. I'm a science fiction, political, and philosophy nerd, Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran, and I'm a real Republican, meaning that I actually hold to the principles of the Republican Party, unlike all these MAGA, I have nothing nice to say, so I won't say it. We are watching a debate between Destiny, who is a liberal, who I have been disagreeing with over the past several days. I do consider him a friend, but that doesn't mean that friends can't disagree. We also got Andrew Wilson, Jack Posobiec, and Anna Kasparian, who are all creators that I bumped into in the past. And I'm just going to let them speak for themselves for a little bit. We'll be pausing intermittently and breaking it down. Let's go.
She will never be able to grow old with Charlie because someone fired a bullet at Charlie Kirk that said, "Hey, fascist, catch." And when you ask people
That's
about
not even
it,
the
they
bullet
say,
that was fired.
"Oh,
how are you lying about this?
Shut up, Destiny.
Holy
shut up.
You're so
Shut
shameless,
up.
dude.
You can't even condemn the cold-blooded execution of Charlie
Donald Trump
Kirk.
turns on Destiny.
I don't think you're in the
YouTube,
position
and he
to
says,
demand
"I wonder what
anything from
Destiny's saying
anybody."
on YouTube. That's how I'm going to take my.
You're
my
not in any
point.
position
Really?
to. Do you
Why
think?
is your behavior contingent on Donald Trump?
Insane right now.
Why do you
is
think?
your
No, let me
behavior
ask you a
contingent
question.
on Donald Trump?
Let me ask you a question.
Because he's the president of the United States of America and the leader of the
Yeah, Destiny. Let me
You
just.
have a huge audience of young men who
I'm a
listen to
YouTuber
everything you have to
who
say.
has more
So
young
when
men
you,
following
it
him.
doesn't matter. You have a huge audience, and because of the fact that you have a huge audience.
Destiny, you've been quite active on social media since Charlie Kirk's death. When Erica Kirk posted Charlie's coffin, you responded, she tagged him, brackets, crying face emojis.
Yeah, in my opinion, he can have his defensive arguments and I'll listen to them. But this is effectively dancing on the graves of a widow. So I think any normal person is going to see this and be repulsed.
Response to Alina Haber's tweet ordering people to fly their flags at half-mast in memory of Charlie, you posted on X buying flags and poles just to fly them fully erect.
Yep. So dancing on the grave of Charlie Kirk, buying flags and poles just to fly them fully erect. Now, on one hand, I understand what he's saying. Charlie Kirk is not deserving of the respect that he's being shown by flags being flown at half staff. But I think erect is also like, let's face it, that choice in word, at least to me, it alludes to some kind of like sexual gratification. So being edgy again, which is how we got onto Piers Morgan, but again, it also might get Stephen killed. So, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out.
And you then posted yesterday, ending every conservative debate call out I do in 2026 with "Don't dodge, bro." That's not what Charlie would have wanted. Do you think that your response to the cold-blooded murder of Charlie Kirk has been appropriate?
Yes, I think that the only way this country moves forward into a better world is when conservatives can finally realize that they need to turn the temperature down on their side. We are 10 years into whatever this Trump madness is, and there is not a single mainstream conservative that will call for a lowering of the temperature on their side. I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term. Every time he's in office, this
Jesus, you're going to have to expand on that, Stephen.
Happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump. All of the recent political violence that's happened in this country over the past 20 years, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it, everybody gets mad because they keep asking Grok about it, has been conservative.
Who shot Charlie Kirk?
A guy from Utah who was raised in a Christian family, who was a 22-year-old
guy
white
described.
Dude. He wasn't trans.
Yeah, I think this is cope. Sorry, I don't line up with this. Again, dollars to donuts. If you got evidence that he's a graper accelerationist, I'll take it. But I think this is cope. 9-1, it's a leftist.
Trans girlfriend. He didn't have any trans influences. Right. He didn't have any trans bullets. Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys were wrong on all of that.
To be clear, the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which drove him to do this. That's just
I'm sorry. Excuse me. When?
Yesterday, he said that.
No. When was he radicalized? In the 6 months that he did remote college?
I don't know when he was radicalized, but I do know
what you just said
I do
is not
know
true.
the very reasonable sounding governor of Utah has made it clear that the event.
He hasn't made it
you may
clear.
not want
He
to
said
hear
this. Is an ongoing investigation.
You may not want to hear it, Destiny. But the reality is the investigators, according to the governor of Utah, have established that he was radicalized to a leftist ideology that drove him to murder Charlie Kirk. Now, let me just ask you.
That's just not true.
Let me just ask
you.
you.
There's no way to deal with it.
Okay,
You're living
you're
in a
accusing the governor of lying.
Yeah.
That's your.
I don't know why this is in contention. I disagree with Stephen. So for instance, like if it's in contention, let's say that from my perspective, if you wanted to say there are a few yellow flags and red flags that point to this guy being a dissident right-wing accelerationist, then I would be like, okay, let's consider the evidence. However, I don't think that being raised in a conservative family precludes you from being a leftist. Many people who are leftists, socialists, many people who are liberals will always talk about how the excesses of their conservative family is actually what pushed them away from their political ideology. So I don't know how we're pretending that that's not possible. And then I feel like the disproportionate amount of evidence cuts to it being a left-wing shooter, whereas the dissident right-wing Groiper attachments, it's like him squatting in a tracksuit, which is a Pepe Frog meme, and then him doing Bella Ciao, which is an anti-fascist song, but it's been co-opted by the right wing as an ironic song. That's not strong enough for me to say that he's a dissident right-wing accelerationist. I think this is a crazy, shitty hill to die on.
Prerogative, but sure. If it turns out to have been somebody with a leftist ideology who wanted to shut up Charlie Kirk, would you condemn that?
I won't condemn anything until the president of the United States can go on air and say, all of us need to calm down.
So you won't condemn.
True, based. Now, I'll condemn murder because it's easy. Murder is bad. Extrajudicial, extralegal murder is bad. But we had a Democratic state senator who was murdered a few months ago, and I almost heard nothing about it. I heard nothing about it. So we have the same crime committed. We have these sad and sallow faces about to like shit blood on national TV. But the same thing happened to other people. They just didn't care because it wasn't a prominent person within their sphere. This is where I really don't like the pearl clutching based off on aesthetics, because I think Anna Kasparian, I'm just going to be rude. I think Anna Kasparian didn't realize all the bullshit she was talking about for 10 or 20 years. And it only became real after she saw a video of people dying that she cared about. I just think that's 100% true.
The murder of Charlie Kirk until Donald Trump says something.
I'm a YouTuber. Leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Donald Trump can't go on TV and say, all of us need to calm down.
Right.
Can you tell me why he cannot?
Why would you expect anybody, Destiny?
You can't answer that. Can you answer that question? Why can't Trump go on TV
this
and
question?
Say, all of us should be less violent.
Why do you
can't
think
Trump say that?
Why do you think
your behavior contingent on Donald Trump?
Insane right now.
Why do you think?
I'm with Anna on that one. You only control you. You don't control other people.
No, let me ask a question.
On Donald Trump.
Let me ask a question.
Because he's the president of the United States of America and the leader of the
Destiny. Let me
You have a huge audience of young men who listen to everything you have to say. So when it doesn't matter. You have a huge audience, and because of the fact that you have a huge audience, you have a responsibility to not turn. No, it hasn't. It hasn't been broken. I actually care about the country and want to bring people together. You do the opposite. You represent the worst of us, Destiny. You're embarrassing.
You should tell Donald.
All right, let me ask Destiny a question. No, hang on. Don't all shut at once, please.
If Donald Trump would have come out and said, hey, we should all be less violent, I have no problem saying
I have one question for you,
Why
Destiny.
can't conservatives do that? Why can't conservatives do that?
Destiny, I have a question for you. Why do you think in your campaign for everyone to dial down the temperature, why do you think that mocking the grieving widow of Charlie Kirk when she posts an image of her at the coffin side, why do you think that constitutes turning down the temperature?
You can't turn down the temperature on your own. The president of the United States is
inflame
not
the temperature.
able
You're
to
mocking
it's
his widow.
already inflamed.
You're
What are you
mocking his
talking
widow.
about? We've had multiple political assassinations over the past year. What do you mean it's turning up the temperature?
Why did you
to
mock his widow?
Online because
Why did you mock his widow?
Because she's being used as a political weapon right now
Wow.
for conservatives to continue their fight. What do you mean? Wow, she's literally doing.
Her husband just got murdered
on email.
And she's using that as a recruitment campaign for TPUSA. I think this is vile, honestly. Like, I think dancing on the grave of a widow is vile. But is he wrong? Right? Honestly, this is something I will never be capable of doing. I will never be capable of, even if somebody's a piece of shit, even if somebody's monstrous, even if they're politicizing a death, if they had a death in their immediate vicinity, I'm not going to dance on that person's grave, and I'm not going to dance on their mourning process. And I think Stephen is being sociopathic in this regard. However, is he wrong that the vice president of the United States is using it as a political war cry, that Erica Kirk is using it as a political war cry, that Ben Shapiro is using it as a way to recruit more people into TPUSA and Daily Wire? They're all politicizing his death. So I think you can criticize the politicization. The way that I would do it is I would say, I know these people are going through a lot. I know they're mourning the loss of what they view as a great man. I viciously disagree with this. I do find the politicization of his death, specifically the casket and the mourning and the spray tanned hands, I find all of that shit super weird. But you know, God bless them, and I hope they recover some level of sanity after this crazy fucked up event. Now, am I going to get on Piers Morgan for saying that? Absolutely not. It's like the most tepid of takes. But is Stephen running the risk of pissing somebody off and having somebody shoot him for what he just said? Absolutely. And by the way, whoever said, like, I know it's irregular, but whoever said, like, you're putting that out into the ether? No, I'm not. I'm observing reality. I'm observing reality. Dancing on someone's grave is a great way for somebody to enact violence upon you. Wow. Trail mix.
Yeah, and she's using it to drive up recruitment for
and you can't even
movement.
Condemn the murder. You won't condemn it.
Can't even tell his side.
You're
to
so
turn the
deranged
down.
about Trump that you cannot condemn the murder
it is such
because
a
you
joke.
wait.
Lank 11B says, Counterpoints, did you bang my mom? I don't know, man. I've been married for 13 years, so if somebody banged your mom in the past 13 years, it wasn't me. Before that, maybe.
But Donald Trump to say something.
Off of it.
All right, let me bring in Jack. Let me bring in Jack Posobiec. I got to say,
there's still no answer to that question, Piers. You can't say
which question?
Why can't Donald Trump simply go on TV and say we all need to turn it down,
Fine.
like Biden could, like Obama could,
Fine.
like the Clintons could, like Kamala could? Why not?
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
It's unbelievable. I'm not the president.
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Unbelievable to me.
Why can't
there should have been a one-on-one. Should have just been Piers Morgan and Destiny.
you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Because it wasn't my side that caused it. It should
yes,
be the
it
one
was.
that is driving up
it
the
actually
rhetoric.
was your side that.
This would be the perfect opportunity, in my opinion, to throw the leftists under the bus. Stephen and I fought leftists for a month, saying they're revolutionary pieces of shit. They're communists. They're trying to infiltrate the Democratic Party. They're trying to subvert it to their own aims. Fuck leftists. And this is the perfect opportunity to be like, yeah, the shooter was a leftist. He's not a part of my team. Fuck him. That would have been perfect, but I don't know. Tactically, maybe we're not on the same page.
Caused it. It was your side.
This guy was raised in a white Christian
He was a
household,
radicalized
in a Christian
leftist
state.
ideology.
He wasn't radicalized by leftism at all. You have no proof of that whatsoever.
That's what
Just
the
like
investigators are saying.
Was a conservative, just like the people that firebombed Shapiro's house was a conservative, just like all the J6ers were conservatives, just like the Proud Boys were conservatives. Every single one of these.
And fuck you, Jack Posobiec. You're literal like, I can't even hear what he's saying yet, so maybe he'll say something coherent. But Jack Posobiec, his marketing strategy was to position himself as a fucking dissident, facing down Antifa, like his book. Jack Posobiec, Antifa photo. This is the picture of his book. He has absolutely use this marketing strategy of like, oh, I'm the right winger spitting hard truths. Let's go ahead and check out some of those hard truths real quick. Let's go ahead and see what Jack Posobiec is up to. He's blocked me because I called him such a consistent piece of shit for so long. He's actually one of the worst people in American politics. I genuinely hate him. Until we meet again, it's him hanging out with Charlie. Had this thought while on air. What Destiny says here is like an abuser saying she made me do it after beating his wife. Cool. The escalation is clear. Shunning leads to censorship. Censorship leads to violence. Violence leads to assassinations. Wait, but isn't the right wing currently calling for censorship because hate speech is not the same as free speech? Oh, I would have to find it. But Jack Poso, 100%. I've seen him do Ukrainian shills. I've seen him do like anti-Zio shills. I've seen him do all sorts of crazy shit. So his news feed is going to be a mess. I'm not going to be able to find Jack Posobiec's greatest hits. Oh, yeah. He also had this speech where he was saying like, unironically, I am a Christian nationalist. We need to institute a Christian theocracy within the United States of America. And then he got a bunch of dumbass conservatives who had never heard these words before to clap for it. So, sorry. I don't have time to find Jack Posobiec's biggest hits, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, Jack Posobiec is one of the biggest pieces of shit in fucking modern politics.
He's every single one of these people. Oh, it's Jack Posobiec. What, the author of Unhuman? Another person that...
Lol.
That Charlie's put a good one, dude.
Well, I'll give you one last chance, Destiny, to condemn the murder.
And the answer is going to be no. Destiny will disavow when Donald Trump disavows political violence on both sides.
Charlie
Yes, you are acting like an unhuman.
Why can't I hear Donald Trump condemn violence in this
all
country?
right, you won't condemn it. Okay, we've all heard.
That's insane.
We've all heard you repeatedly refuse to condemn it.
We've heard Donald Trump refuse to condemn it too. But for some reason, the leftists on YouTube are a bigger deal. Unbelievable.
Yeah. What's incredible is you don't have the basic humanity to condemn it. You'd rather taunt his widow. I find that.
Which is how he got onto your show, Piers. So ultimately, aren't you profiteering off of Destiny's sociopathy? But I digress. Fashion 40 says your timeline is skewed regarding how he views the widow. He actually was empathetic and was telling Chad on Saturday to chill the fuck out. Then she became a propaganda tool. And yeah, okay. There's other ways to do that. Now, am I Destiny's? I'm not Destiny's dad. Okay. I'm Destiny's, I would argue, I don't know how he perceives it, but I would argue friend. And I'm somebody who counsels Destiny when I think that he's going too far. So you can say that like, oh, well, they escalated first by using her as a propaganda tool for the right wing. Okay. If Destiny gets shot, you think I'm not going to use that as a political example of how the right wing talks about free speech, about how they talk about, oh, marketplace of ideas, how they talk about, oh, well, the reason why we need to be able to say hate speech on Twitter is because, unpopular speech needs to be defended, not popular speech. You think I'm not going to be saying that shit? I'm going to politicize Stephen's death if he dies, God forbid. I'll knock on some wood. I've said that like half a dozen times, so I'm starting to feel the vibes from the person who was saying, don't bring that into the world. But I'll politicize Stephen's death because guess what? This is politics. We're fighting over power. Who runs the government, how and why? That's the game. So to all of you who thought that this was just personalities clashing on the internet and it's all just entertainment, it's all just drama, it's all just jokes. No, it's not. And I hope you realize to some degree that Charlie Kirk getting smoked was like predictable to some degree. It's not good. I don't like it. It makes the world a worse place. It makes the world a more dangerous place. But it was predictable.
Sickening. Jack Posobiec.
I find it sickening that when people are getting killed in the country, the president of the United States on Fox and Friends, when they're begging him, what do you say to your followers that want revenge? He says, I don't know. All the elections are rigged. It's the radical Democrats. That's insane to me. And then the
True.
fixation is, well, who on Twitter and YouTube isn't condemning the violence?
All right, Jack.
Right. And here's the other thing too. So I responded to a clip and I said like, Jesus, because it was clipped. And then some DGGers came in and they were like, bro, like it's not even that bad, blah, 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 blah. And I think we've already passed 2 of the clips that were used to excoriate Stephen as a piece of shit. And so far, this is like a tactical argument, not a moral. Well, I guess it's partially a moral argument. It's a tactical and a moral argument, but I'm not going to, I don't know. He hasn't said anything that I'm going to freak out about yet. We'll see. AF Racing says, I didn't say you were wrong or illogical. I'm saying you're contributing to normalization of violence against unhinged people by constantly repeating he's going to get shot. Well, take my advice. Stop being so fucking crazy.
Piers, you have a great example here of the type of cancer I'm talking about, where when you present...
And now liberals are being associated with the kind of cancer instead of leftists.
Direct information, they refuse, they obfuscate, they refute, they say it's not true, they lie. You could see from the bullet casings, you could see from postings, you could see from everything out there that, you know.
eDreamcast says, which annoys you more, left-wing degeneracy and extremism or right-wing degeneracy and extremism? I think left-wing degeneracy and extremism bugs me more because I'm more like temperamentally against their shit. Whereas sometimes, like, if some fascist came out, like let's say Nayib Bukele came out and he did like a Helldivers speech where he was like, it's time for us as a planet to unite. It is time for us to, you know, eliminate the bad members of our society. We must get on Elon Musk's starship and start colonizing the stars. And any aliens that we encounter, if they are friendly, we will deal with them. If they are monsters, we will slaughter them. Then I'd be like, I'm voting for Nayib Bukele in the next election. So I already know that I have like temperamentally fascistic tendencies that can be played like a fiddle. So I think that right-wing extremism is probably more prevalent and dangerous, and I also know that I can be played into it. But if you're asking me what my gut check level is, I hate communists way more than I hate fascists. So it just is what it is. Because you know what? Fascists admit they're the bad guys. They're like, yeah, we're the bad guys. We're going to kill some people. We're going to do some crazy shit. We're going to seize power. We don't give a fuck. And there's like a certain level of honesty with the transparent lust for power. Whereas I feel with like left-wing extremists, they're so often like, we're going to build a Care Bear world. We're going to make sure that everybody has food, water, and shelter, and that everybody has dignity in the workplace, and that everybody has their fair share. And they're like, how are you going to do that? And they're going to be like, by shooting landlords in the face. And it's like, you know, like I like all that Care Bear shit, but you're fucking evil. So you're dumb. AF says, but I fully expect this to go over your head and for the straw man me again. So who fucking cares anyways? Well, I don't know. I don't know if I straw manned you or not. Christian Blair says, if Lauren Southern can be the right's Nazi queen, then Bonnie Blue can be the left's queen. Gross. Then I'm obviously going to pick the right wing every single time, you gross freaks. Josh West says, is your argument against promiscuity based on its likelihood for abuse? What's wrong with consenting adults assuming no foul play? Genuinely curious. Yeah, it's going to be a correlative, not causative thing. Obviously, when you're young and you're fucking around and you're figuring out relationships, and you're doing this at the other, I'm not going to like send the police after you for having premarital sex, right? However, do I think there's a certain time where you should grow up, find your partner, have kids, and the more gangbangs with hard drugs that you participated in, the more difficult it is going to be to find a long-lasting monogamous partner with whom you have kids. Yes, I think these things correlate. Now, maybe you say, hey, I know this girl, she banged 10,000 dudes, and she found a dude who banged 10,000 chicks, and they've been married and monogamous, and they have 5 kids, and they're perfectly happy, and they don't care about the promiscuity. Maybe you know that person. I don't think that person is statistically likely.
It's very clear what happened here. This is the same people who supported President Trump almost getting assassinated twice last year. Corey Capatore being assassinated
by conservatives.
Last year.
Ooh, sorry. Unork says, going to take some cats I rescued off the street to the vet. Wish them luck. Grass touching time. Thank you, Unork. Thank you for doing the public service.
President Trump almost getting assassinated twice last year. Corey Capatore being assassinated
by conservatives.
Last year in a situation.
Yeah, I think this is a dumb hill for dying on. I think this is a dumb hill.
Again, see, just lies. That's all they do. They talk over. They don't even let you give a chance to speak. And something needs to be done, Piers. Something absolutely needs to be done. This ideology should be shamed, humiliated, driven from the public discourse. I mean, you've got people who have completely dissociated with humanity because all they care about are clicks and YouTube streams and likes. Go to the casket. Go to the gravesite. Go talk to the widow. You know, I don't even know how to discuss this with someone who's completely lost all touch with reality.
Yeah, I mean, Anna.
What's Jack's answer to why can't the president say we should all be less violent?
Right. Because you can't even condemn the cold.
Wait, yeah, sorry. This is excuse me. Why can't Jack Posobiec and Piers Morgan say, yeah, we should all take the temperature down a little bit? How hard is that? Now I'm with you. If you're saying that this is terrible optics, to some degree it's poor argumentation, that people are going to sympathize with Andrew Wilson, Jack Posobiec, and Anna Kasparian and Piers Morgan more than Steven, and so they're going to be rude. I'm perfectly attuned to the optical argument. I think this is dog shit optics. But why can't Piers and Jack say, yeah, the president should condemn all political violence? I mean, it seems like almost argumentatively that would actually like kill Destiny's point. But they're not interested in conceding because he's not interested in conceding, which is bad conversation, but whatever.
Because I can't. Donald Trump turns on Destiny.
I don't think you're in the position to demand
anything
anything from anybody
on YouTube. That's how I'm going to take my.
You're not in any position to condemn anybody for anything. You won't condemn a cold-blooded murder.
President of the United States. He's the president of the United States. No one here can answer that question.
Basic humanity says the murder was horrific.
Can't say
why can't you
all of
say
us
it?
Need to be less violent.
Why can't you say it, Destiny?
For over a decade.
To say the murder was horrific and unacceptable.
Why can't Donald Trump say it?
You can't do it.
Why does no one hear any words for Donald Trump?
All right, Anna Kasparian.
Donald Trump. Nothing exactly.
Anna Kasparian. This, to me, this is
an L mixed with, I think, a logical dub, because it should be actually super easy argumentatively for Jack Posobiec to say, yeah, you know, there was the Minnesota state legislator that got murdered last month or 90 days ago. I think that's horrific. I think that's super fucked up. And I think that Donald Trump should condemn violence whenever it happens on both sides. Easy dub for Piers Morgan and Jack Posobiec, and they're actually letting Destiny get away with this, which is surprising to me.
What I'm talking about, that I think there is an element of the left, the hard woke left, that have completely lost their minds. If you are not able to just outright simply condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk, and if you cannot stop your
Bum number one says, I don't get it. If he's a full-time YouTuber, he can't find time to eat off camera. Because I have a family, bum number one, you rude bastard. Listen, I know we're friends or whatever, or parasocial lovers, but Jesus Christ. How about this? How about I wake up at 8 a.m. after getting between 6 and 8 hours of sleep. I should be getting 8, but I don't. I have 2 fucking children. I wake up. I'm doing the morning stream compared to the evening stream. So then I walk my kid to school, I grab some food, I jam it in my face, and then I get on stream for you. So how about you don't hate on my trail mix, bum number one? How about that shit? How about you let me eat my nuts in peace? How about that shit? Anyways, we're breaking 300. I'm sorry somebody had to get murdered in order for me to break 300, but it is what it is. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat. If you have a good time, come back tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. Super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. A parasocial love you. Thank you for being here. Also, if you're new, and this is one of your first streams, I am live Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. I am live on Counterpoints Politics on Tuesdays. All the other days, Monday through Friday, I am live on Valor Media Network. VALOR, Media Common Spelling, Network Common Spelling. So, if you enjoy the content, come check us out there tomorrow.
Yourself from mocking his grieving widow, you are sick, as I've just seen from Destiny. It's a sick
thing
mindset.
is weaponizing a widow's grief to try to do recruitment for your political party. That's probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. She's showing up in emails for recruitment drives for TPUSA.
Destiny? What did you think the assassination of a political figure would do? What did you think the outcome was going to be? What did you think the outcome was? And by the way,
are you asking
really,
me for the
your behavior?
Are you asking
hold
me
on.
for?
Let me. Hey, how about take it easy on the Adderall? Take it easy on the Adderall.
Rude. Funny. Rude.
And let me answer the question that Piers asked me.
You must have been really bullied today.
My behavior is not reliant on how anyone else behaves. Every morning I wake up and I make decisions about how I choose to react or respond to things. I don't wake up in the morning, check what Donald Trump has to say, and then base my own personal behavior on his behavior.
True.
I agree with you in that it would be very helpful to have the leader of this country want to turn the temperature down. And he hasn't done that. I agree with you on that. But that doesn't change the way I choose to respond to what's going on.
True. I really dislike Anna, but I agree with her 100% right here.
The idea of mocking a woman who is now a widow with 2 young children who witnessed her husband get shot in the neck and bleed out to death. How can you mock that? What is wrong with you? I just don't understand it. That's it. I don't understand it. I don't understand you, Destiny. You have so much hatred in your heart, and at the same time, you judge others.
If you're going to weaponize somebody's grief against the other party, well, then of course people have a right to fight back against it. I think that she has every right to grieve in whatever way she wants, but when that grief is going to be weaponized to do recruitment, political recruitment, and further radicalization of the other side, then of course you not only have the ability to mock it, I think you have the obligation to mock it. It's insane.
Let me understand. Let me understand your argument. So since others are using her grief to politically recruit, you think that it's okay to mock her specifically?
Since others are using her grief, she's
weaponizing it. She did within her own speech. She was driving people to go to TP USA. She was saying in order to honor Charlie's memory, we need to volunteer in campus and all that kind of stuff. But again, like I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing. So I actually don't agree with Steven right here. Like I get it. You can say it's weird to politicize the death of someone, but if that person's entire professional life is politics and they were killed for a political reason, why wouldn't that happen? You can say it's immoral, you can say it's amoral, you can say it's gauche, but I don't think this is a win. I think this is actually probably an optics and argumentative L in my opinion.
The one who gave a 17-minute speech on TV where she talked about good versus evil. She's the one showing up in
Destiny,
TPUSA ads to 1 or 2 days after.
Well, shooting somebody in the neck is kind of not good.
To you. If someone assassinated my husband, I would not be able to have the level of composure she had during that speech.
Her level of composure was actually scary.
I would be out for blood. I understand why she's angry and why she said the things that she said. Okay, you need to understand what being a human is, what it's like to actually lose someone that you love, that you chose to spend your life with, that you chose to raise children with, a person who was violently and viciously assassinated like that. This is why I've moved away.
And when something
identifying as
you got bullied online. It's so funny. It's so funny that you just said that you don't think about how other people act to define your behavior. Your entire political ideology now is somehow defined by the people that were mean to you on Twitter.
No,
if somebody cares about somebody who's grieving,
I understood
you tell that
what
person,
the flaws
you
on
tell
the
that
left
person,
happen to
hey,
be. The
maybe you
weakness
should
in their
step back
arguments.
for a couple of
No,
weeks.
it's
Maybe
not about the way I get treated.
You don't
I get
say,
treated
hey, let's
like
throw a
crap from
camera in
both
front
sides
of
of
you
the
and have
political
you do
aisle.
mass recruitment for our political party while everyone over here is calling for civil war. It's unhinged. When you've got people like Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire, and the
we're
president
talking to a guy who said he'd be okay with his own parents getting killed if they went to that Trump rally where that assassination attempt
and we're talking to a woman who went on and did the whole conservative media outlet with Tucker Carlson and Glenn Beck and had nothing bad to say whatsoever. I know where your bread is buttered. I know where you're making your money from.
And it was great. I had awesome conversations. I don't regret it.
This is another thing that I don't like about this line of argumentation. So we came up in Twitch and YouTube politics, okay? And in Twitch and YouTube politics, you can understand lines of argumentation that people use in order to appeal certain ways and why it's bad. And this is whataboutism, argumentatively, okay? Pierce, Jack, Anna, so far, have said, stop worrying about Donald Trump, worry about yourself. There's a level of human compassion and empathy that we should have for people within our society. And when you have a grieving widow who's obviously hurting as a result of the political assassination of her husband, it should be easy to just say, yep, that's bad. I disavow. It's fucking evil. Fuck it. Right? But instead, you're dancing on the grave of the widow, and you're dancing on the grave. Well, you're dancing on the grave of Charlie Kirk, and you're dancing on the grave in front of the widow. So the question then becomes like, well, number one, I think this is why Steven was invited onto Piers Morgan, was by being outrageous. I'm not saying that he's playing a character. He probably believes 70% of this shit, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some element of it where he's like, oh yeah, this is like a decent marketing strategy. Is if I'm outrageous on Twitter about a topic that I'm passionate about, then I can point out the hypocrisy of the other side. However, it's poor argumentation, because what they're saying is, Stephen, you're doing this bad thing. And he's saying, what about another person who's doing a bad thing? Now, he can fall back on the fact that he's a little baby YouTuber and that the president of the United States is more responsible for the temperature of the nation than a 5 to 10K live stream YouTuber. And I agree with Stephen in that descriptively. However, I also agree with Anna with her argumentation that, like, I don't base my behavior based off of what other people were doing. If I did that, I would be the most monstrous piece of shit on the planet. So it's immoral or amoral. It's bad. It should not be followed. I would not, I'm looking forward to getting to your guys' comments. I would not want you to be engaged in the same behavior that Stephen is, even if it was politically advantageous. I would view it as immoral or amoral.
I know, that's great.
I also had a conversation with Jack Posobiec on her take. It was awesome.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Jack,
what democracy is about. Having an exchange of ideas.
Comes out of his mouth.
All right, let me bring in. I don't
agree with him on everything, but at least we can have dialogue.
Anna, you're completely right, by the way. Anna is completely right.
Didn't it?
And the irony of Charlie Kirk is that he led the way in going in to debate with people who hated him. And he would try and have respectful dialogue.
Charlie Kirk beat up on college students.
Unlike you, Destiny. Let me bring Andrew Wilson in.
So do you.
Let me bring in Andrew Wilson.
So do you. You beat up on college students. You go on a college tour. You're going on a college tour right now to beat up on college students. What are you talking about, Destiny? That's what you're doing right this second, is going on a college tour to go beat up on college students. By the way, can I just ask you a question?
I don't exclusively beat up on college.
Can you actually answer? Can you actually answer? Hang on, calm down. I just got one question. I got one question for you, and I want you to actually answer it. Are you glad Charlie Kirk is dead?
No, I don't think anybody in this country should be dying to political violence. It's insane. The past 5 years in this country has been crazy.
He gave you an answer. It might not have been the answer that I expected. I would have been like, well, I'm not losing sleep over it. I'll tell you what. That would be my truthful answer. My truthful answer would be, I'm not losing sleep over it. But I'm surprised. I'm surprised by Destiny's argument. Maybe he was thinking about the optics of that. Maybe that was a bridge too far. I find that interesting. I'm interested to hear his articulation.
But the reality is, until conservatives,
so why did you say that to your co-host that Trump deserved the bullet? Why did you tell him that?
Until conservatives have to say, hey, we all need to be less violent, there's no purpose in Democrats doing it, because every time Democrats disavow, you further entrench your guys' delusional beliefs that all the violence is coming on the left. Donald Trump can go on TV.
True. The vice president of the United States just said that, so true.
He can say, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
True.
Can go on Parler and say, we heard you. They can go to the Capitol and break in and try to insurrect. They can get convicted in front of a jury, and then Donald Trump can pardon them, and we can come out and go, hey, guys, why aren't Democrats disavowing violence? And pretend that the problem is coming from the left. Democrats do.
I know it's a whataboutism. I know it's poor argumentation, but it's an appeal to hypocrisy, and I don't think that's necessarily fallacious. They're all coming at Stephen and saying, hey, YouTuber, say murder is bad. And then he's saying, hey, you two dickheads support a president who tried to usurp the Republic of the United States. How about you say that that's bad? And then every time that he asks them to do it, they pussy away. Listen, I see it, man. I see it. I don't like it. I don't agree with the tactics. I think it's bad optics. I think he's creating more enemies than he's gaining friends. But I fucking understand it. I understand it. If Andrew Wilson and Jack Posobiec just wanted to fucking own it right now and be like, you know what? January 6th was a mistake. I think that pardoning the violent people who beat up on cops that day was a mistake. I think that pardoning the Proud Boys who were convicted of seditious conspiracy in reference to January 6th was a mistake. If they wanted to own that in public right now and then say, okay, now that we've conceded that, you concede the other thing. I'm all about reciprocity. I'm all about reasonable dialogue and giving truthful concessions. I'm all about that shit. So listen, again, I think Destiny's argumentation is an L. I think optically it's probably going to be quite, bad, potentially disastrous. But I see it. I see it.
A disservice to this country by disavowing violence constantly when the president of the United States
let me respond
won't go on
quickly
TV and say all
so hold on. You have to, don't sleep on Andrew Wilson. He can be fast on his feet. Let's see what he says.
I'm going to respond quickly, Destiny. So the thing is, why did you say to your co-host?
Nah, you should have addressed it. Should have addressed it, Andrew. You should have said, "Yep, I disavow." Now what?
I keep focusing on me.
That the bullet was for Trump. Why did you say to your co-host that the best place for the bullet was Trump? Why did you say that?
Why did Donald Trump call
it? It's a whataboutism. What about
true?
Whataboutism. I'm asking you a question.
Whataboutism.
I can't be whataboutism if it's my question, Destiny.
Why won't Donald Trump
answer the question?
Right, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this before I cut mics?
Because you don't care.
Destiny,
you don't care that Kirk's dead.
Destiny, allow Andrew to repeat his question and let him ask the question. Then you answer it, okay, Andrew?
No, I want to hear the other side first.
Let him ask the question.
Donald Trump.
Let him ask the question, Destiny, and then
it is whataboutism.
And you answer it. Andrew.
Destiny told his co-host when asked point blank if he wanted the bullet to kill Trump, that the worst thing that could have happened was the bullet missing. He said this to Pisco. I watched it. Okay. This guy's an obfuscation machine. And if you know what else, Destiny, why should we believe you? I think you are glad Kirk is dead. And all of your tweets seem to prove that.
I mean...
And you would have been happy if Trump was assassinated. You've made that.
I mean... Listen, guys, like, I'm just going to be real. Like, I'm of... So morally, right? Would the country be worse off if Donald Trump was like, do you think the country's worse off if Donald Trump had died? Let's say that he died of natural causes before the election. I think the country would be in an infinitely better spot than it is right now. Even if JD Vance was elected president, I still think we'd be in a better spot because I think JD Vance is more pragmatic than Donald Trump is and is obviously smarter. So yeah, if Donald Trump died due to natural consequences, I'd probably be happy. If Donald Trump got murdered and it made the country a worse place, I would understand it, but I also wouldn't lose sleep over it. So yeah, if I'm like apathetic to neutral, and maybe there would be an element of Schadenfreude that enjoyed Trump being dead, then how does Steven not feel the same way or feel even more passionately about it? I think that's what Andrew's pointing to. I think that's what he's pointing to, and I kind of think he's correct. Let me see if I can log into Counterpoints Politics and get Send Patty a wrench.
Very clear. So why not just be truthful for once in your fucking life and say the truth, that you don't care that Kirk is dead and you're actually probably glad he is. Isn't that really what's true?
Nah. I don't want anybody in this country to die to political violence. I don't think in the United States of America that should be happening. I don't know why it's so hard.
He's not, in my opinion, he's not being truthful. He's playing the optics game, which, by the way, good for him. You know, like that's obviously the smarter move. The smarter move is not to step into the rhetorical trap with your that your enemy has set for you. That's probably true. The funny thing, though, at least in my opinion, is that like this is part of the reason why I don't think I'm as big of a creator. I just tell the truth. So if Andrew Wilson was like, "Hey, are you glad that Charlie Kirk's dead?" I'd be like, "Probably not. I think the country is a worse place." Well, do you think that if his politics were not as prevalent in American politics, that would be a good thing? I'd be like, "Yeah." Yeah. And he's like, well, what if Trump got killed? Do you think the world would be a better place? I'd be like, yeah, probably. And then if he's like, would you be glad if Trump was dead? I'd be like, I'd probably be neutral on it. But I'd be lying if I said that there wasn't some level of Schadenfreude, right? That if there wasn't some level of, like, Schadenfreude, if I remember correct, is like vicarious joy at someone else's suffering, if I remember. That I'd be lying if I said there wasn't some level of Schadenfreude. So if that's how I feel, I don't know if I believe Steven when he kind of backs away and says like, well, actually, I do think that nobody should be killed from political violence, but that's why I want conservatives to turn the temperature down. That's why that feels like a dodge. Oh, man. So let me go to Counterpoints Politics real quick. Let me find some Patty and give them a fucking wrench. Son Patty, where are you? There you are. Good. Add as moderator, standard moderator. Okay, now Son Patty, you can throw wrenches at people, okay? There you go. Bum number one in the most recent chat says, I'd also not lose sleep over Trump, but wouldn't you as an American feel a bit of shame that your political violence, both sides, rivals Burkina effing Faso? I don't think we rival Burkina Faso at all. Just because were we rivaling Burkina Faso in violence when JFK got shot? I don't think so. Cool. I'll use this power responsibly. Don't be irresponsible. Anyways, I'm super far behind in chat, but let's continue. This is not. This is why when people on Twitter were like, "Do you disavow? Do you disavow? Do you disavow? Do you disavow?" I was like, "No," and then they were like, somebody was like, "Oh yeah, well, Steven's argumentation was because there's Trump dick riders. Well, hold on, there's Steven dick riders and there's Steven haters." And so the Steven haters were like, listen to this 8-second clip and tell me whether or not you hate Steven. And I was like, well, it doesn't sound good. I don't like it. But they're like, do you disavow? Are you going to keep working with them? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to fucking disavow him off of an 8-second clip. Go fuck yourself. And then some people were like, or I just said outright, I was like, I don't like clips. I'm going to watch the whole thing. And I watched the whole thing. And yeah, I think it's an optics L. I think it's an argumentative L. But I don't think that this is that crazy. Because seriously, Stevens asked how many times? Half a dozen times? Half a dozen times he said, hey, conservatives have a responsibility for bringing down the temperature of the United States as well. Why isn't the president of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, using his power wisely? Why aren't you holding him to account for his power? And why do you give a shit what some fucking 5,000 concurrent viewer fucking YouTuber says? Why is that how you're spending your time? And it's not that Steven's a small bean. It's kind of like a small, I'm a cute boy, small bean, woo, whatever, argument, which I don't like. I think it's bad argumentation. However, is that not true to a certain degree? Is that not true that we should probably care about the fact that our current sitting president is like a pedophile rapist who tried to overthrow the country 5 years ago, that he mass pardoned all of the people who tried to help him overthrow the country 5 years ago? Should we not care that he's currently like gleefully deporting people without due process, and then like conservatives are laughing about people getting tortured in Saqqat? Whenever I bring up like Andre Hernandez Romero, there's been almost no conservatives, except for a conservative immigration lawyer I know. There's one guy I know who's a conservative immigration lawyer. He's Mormon, and he cares about people getting tortured in Saqqat, but he's the only one. He's the only guy I know who cares. Every other conservative I brought it up to, they've been like, yeah, who gives a shit? They're fucking foreigners anyways. Okay, well, that's why I'm not losing sleep over one of you getting shot, okay? Because whenever I bring up somebody else getting shot, tortured, murdered, whatever, you laugh it off. So you get killed, I'm not going to bathe in your blood. I'm not going to laugh about it, but I'm also not going to lose any sleep.
Or for the president to say the same. I think it'd be the easiest thing in the world as a president. Biden did it for 4 years. That's why everything was way cooler when he was here, like in terms of temperature. The Clintons have no problem saying it. Barack Obama has no problem saying it. Kamala Harris has come out and said it. Every Democratic.
True. Sausage Lord for 5 says, wait a second, Blair White is a conservative. Why isn't she labeled as a liberal, but the Kirk sniper is because of an alleged trans girlfriend or roommate? Dude, can we just stop playing dumb? If you had to guess, like I have 2 or 3 trans conservative friends, okay? I think that you could argue that Toftaj argues from a dissident right-wing perspective, which is interesting considering she's trans. I think that I have a friend called like Red Dog Republican, and they're like a gay trans person who also is a Never Trump Republican. There are a few people that I know who are trans who are conservative. However, dollars to donuts, how many fucking progressive trans people do you think there are compared to fucking what would you call it? How many progressive trans folk do you think there are compared to conservative trans people? What's it got to be, like 99 to 1? I think you guys are fucking coping. I'm just going to be real. I think you guys are coping. Thank you for the super chat though.
Lawmaker and leader has basically come out and said it, but for some reason on the Republican side, it's just civil war, civil war, civil war, and the
true. Get him, Steven, including these fucking dipshits. Not Andrew Wilson. I haven't seen him call for civil war, but I almost guarantee if I check Jack Posobiec's thing or anybody in his replies, it's going to be like, civil war now, let's do it. They don't know the monster they've unleashed. I almost guarantee you it's all that cringe fucking Civil War LARPing bullshit. Roth Barty says, all these Christians going bananas over the reactions. Let's honor the man with the most Christian thought. Forgive your enemies, Charlie Kirk. I mean, I guess. Big in Gaming says, there was a video of a woman crying because where she got her medicine was burned down and would have to travel further away than try to get it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, pretending that the BLM riots were like inconsequential for the way the left is perceived in reference to violence is absolute cope. I agree. Brandon says, I agree with Destiny's strategy in theory, but doing it, he can't ignore how they're interpreting him. He can't say, I won't condemn without clarifying, I don't condone. Yeah, there you go. Yep. All right, you're doing good.
The Republican president of the United States, who has presided over more violence politically in this country, more large protests than any president.
Sorry, this is funny. Test Dummy Human says, I unironically debated with teachers and classmates in high school in favor of National Socialism without anti-Semitism and racism. Keep in mind, this was in Sweden, so it was not appreciated. I bet, bro. That you're an edgy boy. Reason Riff says, check out the study, A Comparison of Political Violence by Left-Wing, Right-Wing, and Islamist Extremists in the United States and the world. Right-wing violence is bigger than Islamic is bigger than the left. Sure. I mean, I believe you. I don't even need to read it. I believe you.
In all of U.S. history, for some reason, can't bring himself to say, all of us need to calm down. And
so did Trump deserve the bullet?
To say it.
Did Trump deserve
the law requires that I answer no.
Well, this is all you care about are the political hit jobs.
Just answer the question, bro. Did Trump deserve the bullet?
Did Donald Trump
deserve the bullet
on his side ever? Did Donald Trump
answer the question? Did Trump deserve the bullet?
You can't answer the question. We're here to play.
No, bro, it's my turn to ask the question. It's your turn to answer. Did Trump deserve the bullet?
Did Trump disavow violence in this country ever?
Did he deserve the bullet? Yes.
I mean, that's an important question. See, this is why I'm never going to be as big as Steven, because if somebody said like, hey, Connor, did Trump deserve the bullet? I'd be like, I mean, I don't like extrajudicial, extra-legal murder, but I understand how he got shot, and I understand how it was karmically balanced. Whoops. And then we would start arguing about Trump's sins. So, like, I wouldn't shoot him. I would not advocate that anybody else shoot him. I understand why he got shot.
She's just found violence. But again, I just did. Now your turn. Now your turn. It's your turn.
Did Donald Trump?
Did Trump deserve the bullet?
I never said that. No, I never said that. No.
Okay, except you did to your co-host.
No, I didn't. Oh, wait. When did Donald Trump disavow? Wait. When did Donald Trump disavow violence in this country?
Your co-host, you lying sack of shit. If he wanted to kill Trump, the worst thing that could have happened.
Andrew needs to stop smoking, bro. That shit's gonna kill him.
Trump was the bullet missing? Violence, and
that's what you said.
And this is, yeah. And this is when you're putting YouTubers and tweeters on the same level as the president of the United States. This is why conservatives are absolutely brain broken when it comes to violence in this country.
I mean,
that's why it'll continue.
But Destiny,
there'll be more deaths.
Destiny,
maybe it'll be me at the next time. Who knows? There'll be
Destiny.
You guys are all going to turn around and be like, I can't believe it. What's going on? What's happening here?
Okay, Destiny. If you care so much about political violence in America, why don't you lead the way yourself without mentioning anybody else? Why don't you, Destiny, right now just outright condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Because I want the conservatives to make any kind of concession that they've done anything bad ever now live on television. Yep. I don't like it. I think it's a tactical and optical L, but I understand it. I understand the moral impulse. I really do. I understand the moral impulse. You probably cannot get not Charlie Kirk. You probably can't get Jack Posobiec and Andrew Wilson to concede right now that January 6th was bad and that Trump should not have pardoned the January 6ers who beat up on cops. If we actually went into that, they would do every obfuscation, every dodge, every move that they could possibly do in order to get that done. They would do that. And so, listen, I understand the frustration. Bad optics, bad tactics. I understand it. Yeesh. Oh, sorry. Metal Griffin Muffin, thank you for the 11 euros, says, Destiny viewer here. I'm a progressive in the EU, and while I don't agree with all of your points, I do think you provide good counterpoints to Destiny's views. Thank you. I try. Joe Vasquez says pre-watched. Nope, I've only seen clips. Death Lily says like the stream, subscribe to the channel, enjoy the chat, have fun. Well, thank you, Death Lily. Even though we've been beefing recently, I appreciate you shilling for the channel. So, Death Lily's right. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. We broke 300 today, which is fucking awesome. I'm sorry that I'm low energy. I promise you I'm normally higher energy, but I'm just wiped out, dude. The past like 3 days of discourse have been a fucking nightmare. So I parasocially love you. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the content. Let's continue. And Jack, who ESB says Pacific, P-O-S-O-B, I think I-E-C, Pacific.
Because we've been doing that for a decade. One side can't turn down the temperature.
You can't
the other side can't turn down the temperature. If Donald Trump can't, then the left shouldn't until he does.
Got it.
Republicans
okay, you don't want to do it.
need accountability for their actions. They need some responsibility for the insanity.
He had it coming,
even though you've taken on yourself.
Let
me bring in Jack Posobiec.
We absolutely, Democrats.
All right, that's enough, Destiny. I'll bring in Jack Posobiec.
Yeah,
Jack.
okay. Nice. Both sides it.
Jack.
Yeah.
What is your response to this?
I mean, Piers, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, this type of ideology where you've got someone who's willing to mock Erica, who's been standing strong for her family, for her children, who's just, she will never be able to grow old with Charlie. She will never be able to be with them again, have more children, to have grandchildren, to have those memories, to raise them. It's all gone. Every single moment of that future that.
Okay. Jack, we're having this like really somber moment of the mourning and Erica, you know, mourning her lost husband. And guess what? I agree with you. I don't think that Erica or whatever her name is, I don't think we should be grabbing a rhetorical knife, jamming it into her guts and twisting it to see her grimace and wince while she's mourning her dead husband. I agree. However, if I bring up the projected 3 million people over the next 5 years who are going to die of preventable disease because we cut 0.16% of our federal budget and then we did tax cuts, therefore increasing the deficit. If I bring up the additional 11 million people who are going to die of dengue, cholera, all that kind of stuff, what are you going to say? Are you going to have this like somber, sad, you know, tone about all these people who don't need to die, who we have killed through incompetence? Or are you going to go, lol, they're African, they're in another country, they're not American citizens, I don't give a shit? Because I'll tell you the response that I've experienced on Twitter and social media and comment sections. Conservatives don't give two fucks about East Africans or North Africans or South Africans or West Africans dying from preventable disease and making the world a worse place through AIDS. They don't give two fucks about Ukrainians getting murdered in the trenches or glide bombed as civilians in Ukrainian cities because, lol, it's not our fight. Ha 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 ha. They don't give two fucks about all the fucking people who are being born with AIDS right now so we could save the equivalent of $35 per year per taxpayer. Okay? So if you're going to come out and be all sad and somber and mopey and whiny about somebody getting shot in the fucking face, then I need you to carry that same energy when I tell you about millions of people killed through incompetence by the administration that you support. Also, I'm going to need you to carry this energy when I tell you about Donald Trump allegedly fucking raping a bunch of 14 to 17-year-old girls. When I say in 2003, Donald Trump wrote a letter to his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein of 3 decades, and he drew a girl with underdeveloped tits, and he wrote a poem about how they both have some kind of secret. I don't want you to laugh it off. I don't want you to say like, oh, this is just politics now, you know, like it's just made up. The CIA planted the letter. I want you to go, damn, it's really possible Donald Trump was a fucking rapist who raped a bunch of teenage girls in the 80s, 90s, and thousands. We should release the unredacted Epstein files. But when you're this somber, mopey, sad person because somebody got shot in the neck, I don't think you actually give a shit about humanity. I don't think you give a shit about the individual dignity of human beings. I think you care that somebody on your team got killed. And that's why this rings hollow for me. I think Destiny is being an absolute fucking asshole. I think this is an optics L. I think it's a tactical mistake. I think it's a tactical rhetorical mistake. But guess what? He's a bigger streamer than I am. I don't buy. I feel like these are crocodile tears from Jack Posobiec. I'm happy to be proven wrong. Let me see Jack Posobiec eulogizing the 14,200,000 people that were projected to kill over the next 5 years. Let me see him eulogizing the 200,000 dead in Gaza. Oh, wait, if he's eulogizing the projected 200,000 dead in Gaza, it'll be because he hates Israel, not because he cares about Gazans. So, sorry. Save me the crocodile tears, Jack, you fucking asshole.
They had was gone because someone fired a bullet at Charlie Kirk that said, "Hey, fascist, catch." And now you have people celebrating it. And when you ask people,
I'm so sad, guys. I'm not sad for those Africans. I'm not sad for those Hispanics who got tortured and sodomized in Saqqat. Matter of fact, I think that's a good thing. I'm not sad about the Gazans who are being starved to death. But if I do give a shit about the Gazans, it's because I hate Israel, not because I care about Gazans. I don't care about the Ukrainians who are getting slaughtered in the street by Russian drones or who are being mass executed and raped and thrown into shallow graves. None of that affects me. The only thing that affects me is a conservative podcaster getting shot. Like, dude, fuck you. But fuck you, Jack Posobiec. How about that? How about that? How about you carry some of that same energy somewhere else, you fucking asshole?
It's not even the bullet that was fired. How are you lying about this?
Shut up, Destiny.
Holy
shut
shit,
up.
You're so,
Oh, no, I'm upset.
You're so
Shut
shameless,
up.
dude. Oh my god. You're not even
This is where I would actually expect. So Steven, no offense, Steven, I feel like he gets a little fucking crazy with it. If they were in person, Jack Posobiec would start swinging 100%. And by the way, if I was standing next to Destiny, I might let Jack get a few fucking licks in.
Not the right bullet. You're such a disgusting piece of shit. Holy
What a pedantic.
Wait. Why does it matter if it wasn't the right bullet? That's missing the forest for the trees, in my opinion, okay? That's missing the forest for the trees. If it was in the magazine, if he missed, he would have loaded another round, and maybe that would have been the bullet that hit Charlie Kirk. That's very poor argumentation. Very poor argumentation. Steven's been arguing with idiots for so long that I think he's not dialing it in as hard as he needs to.
Antic point.
Are we
What a
are we even
pedant.
going to do
These
this?
guys are professional
It's total
liars.
pedantry.
It's
Total pedantry. Total
This guy
pedantry.
probably
Are we
Yeah, yes, it is pedantry. Andrew Wilson's calling it out correctly. Sorry. Andrew Wilson's a fucking asshole. Doesn't mean he's wrong. This is pedantry.
I would like to let
Jesus.
Jack finish his point, please.
Yeah,
and they'll claim there's no leftist connection. They'll claim there's no there and then go so far as to lie and say there's some kind of Christian conservative connection when you could see the right.
I mean, it's his family, but I agree that a leftist can rebel from a Christian conservative family.
Writing on the bullet casings, and so these are very common symbols associated. Whatever the point is, right? It should be very, very clear. Are we connected with our humanity or are we not? And some people.
Okay, Jack, I'm serious. I'm going to be a little bit less of a dick right now. Are we going to be connected with our humanity or not? I need to hear you in a suit on Piers Morgan condemning Donald Trump for raping a bunch of teenage girls in the 80s, 90s, and 1000s and being best friends with a pedophile for 3 decades. And I'm going to need to hear you carry the same energy about connecting to your humanity in reference to dead Africans, dead Ukrainians, and dead Gazans. I'm going to need to hear that from you, bud. And I don't think that, guess what? This is why I'm not on Piers Morgan. This is why I haven't been invited on Piers Morgan. If I was on the same panel and you were like, do you condemn conservatives getting shot in the face? And I'm going to be like, fuck yeah, I condemn. Fuck that. But now that I've made that concession, I need to hear a concession from you. And if you start dancing away from it, then I'm going to call you a vile, inhuman, crocodile tear piece of shit, because I'm perfectly connected to my humanity, relatively speaking, depending on the day. I'm relatively speaking pretty connected to my humanity, but I extend that to people who aren't white Christian United States citizens. I also extend that to human beings.
Are willing to do that. Anna's been willing to do that. We've done shows together. They've been fine. They've been good. We've jousted. We've done the back and forth. Destiny and I in the past have had shows together where before he kind of took this turn, and you think there are people who can just be willing to stand up for humanity.
Jack, it reminds
All right, now talk sad about Africans, please.
me a bit of the journey I've gone on, very different circumstances, but the Israel-Hamas war. The reason I asked everybody on the pro-Palestinian side for months after the war started, do you condemn what Hamas did, is I think it was very enlightening as to the humanity of the person by how they responded. If their immediate response was, of course I do, the mass murder of civilians on October the 7th was a horrendous atrocity,
thanks, Piers,
then we can move on to an intellectually honest debate. If they refuse to condemn what Hamas did, it's a completely different debate. And similarly, right now, I feel if you can't condemn a lot of what the IDF are doing, frankly, it's my opinion, in Gaza, then the same thing. If you're unequivocally like, it's all fine with 20,000 plus kids being killed, then I've got a problem with that too. But I do think you've got to try and maintain in all of these debates a modicum of humanity about people who are actually being killed. And what is terrifying about the mindset of a lot of people.
Okay, Pierce would probably do this, so I'm not calling out Pierce, but I almost guarantee you that Andrew Wilson probably wouldn't dance on the graves of the Africans or dance on the graves of the Ukrainians, but he would say, I don't care, they're not American. Jack Posobiec might actually be gleeful about dead Ukrainians. So again, like, look at this sad face. I'm going to zoom it in for you. I'm going to take time out of the stream in order to zoom it in for you, okay? Jack Posobiec, guys, he just wants us all to connect with our humanity, okay? He just wants us to be more sympathetic and empathetic and caring people, all right? So I'm going to zoom in for this for you, okay? This is Jack Posobiec. Look at this. Okay, hold on. So you see furrowed brow. You see slight droop in the lips, indicating a frown. You see tired eyes, which I have tired eyes as well. So he is trying to convey to the audience, and he's wearing a suit, okay? He's wearing a business suit for this interview. So he's trying to communicate, I am serious. I am wearing a suit. My tie is up in my neck. So that's how you know that I'm serious, because I'm dressed into the tens for this interview. I am frowning because I am disappointed, sad, or disgusted. My eyes are tired because, frankly, I'm in grief mode right now over the death of my friend Charlie Kirk. And my brow is furrowed because I'm thinking very long and very hard about what's going on in the world and how everything is bad. Okay. Good job, Jack. You have sufficiently simulated what human grief and mourning looks like. And you're talking about people needing to reconnect to their humanity. I just need you to carry this exact fucking energy in every other political topic that you talk about. Not just because your friend's killed, but when other people are killed. Otherwise, I think you're full of shit and you got crocodile tears.
People on the woke left have seen since Charlie Kirk's death is the brazen glee that they're taking to his murder. And then when I see even Destiny, who's a very well-followed person on the internet, well-known, when Destiny, frankly, if you can't bring yourself just to say the murder was horrific and should never have happened, it's a very simple sentence.
Yes, it's a very simple sentence, but I want these two to own anything bad the right has done. And by the way, that would be my argumentative tact at this point. I know that Steven is like, he's holding civility hostage, you know? I'm going to show you guys a meme real quick. Holding someone hostage, shooting them meme. I don't know if it's going to pop up, but there's this meme. There it is. This one. So this one, hostage shot guy meme. All right, let's do that guy. Hostage shot guy meme. This is MAGA holding civility hostage. And then this is me. Oh, God, I got to open this up. Okay. This is MAGA holding civility hostage. And this is me saying, hey, liberals and progressives, we need your help restoring civility to society. And then this is Steven running up and shooting civility in the fucking head. This is an exact metaphor for what's fucking going on right now. And I'm going to summarize it one more time for those of you who are not looking at your screens. Dude with a knife is holding another dude hostage. Somebody screams for help. Stephen Bonnell II runs up in this metaphor for civility. And instead of shooting the guy holding someone's knife to someone's neck, he shoots the hostage. And Stephen is happy and everybody else is shocked. So this is a metaphor for civility, MAGA, normies and what Steven's doing in the situation. What the fuck?
It's just basic humanity. It really makes me despair for where everything is going, because it's indicative of the mindset.
Okay, I'll try.
Mindset of, I can't give an inch to my political opponents, therefore I lose my humanity. How can that be right?
Because you can't give an inch to political opponents that won't recognize or acknowledge anything they've done is wrong. It's all it's done is gotten us here. This is where we're at because of that exact mindset. Will any of the conservatives here acknowledge the conservative that murdered Melissa Hortman and her husband and shot the other senator in Minnesota?
True. Let's go. Let's get some roundtable disavowals for that. Let's go.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you for being sane and normal. Thank you. Jesus Christ, I needed that. I know Andrew Wilson is not sane and normal, but I'm just saying thank you for giving the easy concession.
It was a conservative shooter? That it was a conservative shooter?
I don't know the details on that particular case. If I did, and it turned out that it was
that is annoying. It is annoying that whenever you talk about any talking point, people just go, well, I don't know the details. And Andrew, by the way, he could impress me right here. If Andrew said, I don't know the details, but if it's a conservative shooter, I would not care. I would still condemn that as evil. I would be impressed by Andrew if he jumps that way.
Doubt it was the case. Of course, I would say that such violence.
There you go. Great minds think alike. All right. All right. You know, listen, I get it. Andrew's a mean guy. He bullies whores on the internet, but I appreciate him thinking exactly what I was thinking and saying exactly what I was thinking almost immediately. Good job, Andrew.
Should be disavowed. Thing is, you can't hold your entire moral standard based on what you think Trump is doing or not doing. What does that have to do with you, Destiny? It has nothing to do with you. You can easily just say, you can lead by example and say, let's all tone down the violence.
You can't lead by example.
That's what you want,
the president
right?
of the United States. That's what Democrats have been doing.
Wait, you can't lead by example because you're not the president? That's the stupidest thing I've heard today.
I agree, by the way, with Andrew right here. I agree. And listen, if I'm a shitter with 300 viewers, which I parasocially love you for, by the way, I'm happy you dropped by the stream. But if I'm a shitter with 300 viewers and Steven is a shitter with 5 to 10,000 viewers, and Donald President Trump is the only one that matters, then ultimately nothing matters. I don't agree with this at all. I'm going to use a quick parable, okay? You've heard it. I'll be fast about it. But the starfish, okay? You're walking down the beach and there's 1,000 starfish and there's a little boy who's throwing starfish back into the ocean, and he's frantically running back and forth, throwing the starfish into the ocean before they dry up and die. And then there's an old man who says, hey, son, there's thousands of them. There's no way that you can get to all of them. What you're doing doesn't really matter. And then the kid, undeterred, grabs another starfish and flings it into the ocean, and he says, it mattered to that one. Now, if you want to talk about like systemic shit where you say like, well, we should figure out how starfish are washing up on the beach in the first place, and if there's something that we can do in order to systemically stop starfish from washing up on the beach, sure, obviously, I'll concede that. But what I find with lefties sometime and within this line of argumentation is they use the fact that our problems are so big in order to excuse their own bad behavior because they don't think that their bad behavior matters in the aggregate. And I think it's a horrible attitude, and I think it poisons your soul.
Side wants to fight and the other side doesn't, then you're going to fight. One side can't decide not to fight, but the other side
makes no sense.
True. I don't agree with this analogy at all. There's 10,000 different ways to fight besides withholding civility to the dead members of your opposition. Saladin and Richard the Lionheart were both capable warriors who were celebrated with that throughout history. The reason why they're celebrated, though, is because of their chivalry in battle. They were both competent, vicious, violent men who killed hundreds, if not thousands of men. And yet, at the end of the day, they are famous because of their chivalry in battle.
What does that have
What
to
do you
do
mean
with
it makes
you?
no
You
sense?
can,
If
you
some
can
guy comes up to
easily,
you to fight,
can easily
and the
just
other
say it
side
now,
says,
Destiny.
I don't want to. You don't really have the choice there. It's
Lead by example, then. Lead by
you
example.
can't lead by
and show
example.
us.
That's called dying.
You can.
Actually, Groggy says, why the need to speculate on the shooter's ideology until all the evidence has come out? Because I think all the lefties who think that it's not a lefty are coping. I think you're coping.
Let me jump in
because you're actually happy.
Let me jump in here. I actually felt that Anna hit the nail on the head here, which is she did not need to wait for Donald Trump to comment on this to make her own mind up about what had happened. That is intellectual honesty, right? Yes, it may be.
I think she's stupid for 10,000 other reasons, but I'm okay with that.
Somebody that she totally disagreed with on many issues. The simple, humane thing to do with any event like this is to ask yourself, how do I personally feel about it? Not what does Donald Trump think about it, or what does Joe Biden think about it, or what does Timbuktu think about it. It's what do I personally feel about this. It didn't take me very long, Destiny, to understand that I felt repulsed by the execution of somebody in cold blood with his wife and 2 young children there watching. It's a human reaction. I don't need to know what Donald Trump thinks about it at all. I don't understand.
True. I'm with Piers. I understand the tactical argument. I think it's a bad tactic. I also think it's bad optics.
Why you need to wait for him before your own humanity
kicks in. I don't need to wait for anybody. No, you're not asking how we feel about it. You're asking what the public statements should be. And
I'll take it. I'll take that as a counterpoint.
The public statements should be the president of the United States.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No,
You're
I'm
asking
not.
me for a public statement
I'm
right
asking,
now.
where is your humanity? You can't just say the murder was wrong.
Where is your humanity, Piers? You guys are playing into this exactly. I think you probably know it. I think Cornell was right about this. You know where your bread is buttered as well. You guys play into this. It's insane to me that the president of the United States can't say, hey, all of us need to be less violent. We all need to calm the down. That the president of the United States can't say this, but you will endlessly scour Twitter and YouTube for leftists to bring on and say, don't you guys disavow the violence? It's absolutely absurd to me.
Because it's outrageous that Twitter and YouTube leftists and can't just say, yeah, murder's bad. Because it's easy. You could say, you can still say, by the way, I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now. Watch this. It's going to be beautiful. My camera is washed out because I turned my lights around, but it is what it is, okay? Watch this. Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit, okay? He made the world a worse place. His rhetoric was terrible. He backed a pedophile rapist of a president who is currently killing millions of people through incompetence, through preventable disease, cutting 0.16% of the budget, and then slashing taxes, running a higher deficit. The MAGA movement is not fiscally conservative. It's not socially conservative. It's not Burkean conservative. It's not any kind of conservative whatsoever. And I disavow the movement as a whole. And I think that they're delusional, cultist, freak pieces of shit. That being said, I am sorry that Charlie Kirk is dead because he was a part of our national discourse. And I don't think that extrajudicial or extralegal murder are good. I also disavow all of the far right-wing and right-wing people who are currently braying for civil war. And I think that liberals, centrists, center-right wingers such as myself should prepare for defensive but legal violence. And I would warn the people who might be planning on doing militia assassinations that for me and mine, we're going to keep that thing on us. And if somebody comes after us, we're going to chop you up and we're going to throw you in the Everglades. Now it'll be legal. It'll be legal. You come try to kill us, we're going to kill you first. But, how about we all take the temperature down a little bit? How about we stop making fun of each other when each other get killed? How about we actually have a sane, rational discourse? And how about Donald Trump leaves in 2028 without any kind of repeat of the violence of January 6, 2021? If that's fair to you, that's fair to me. Don't try to kill me and mine. I won't try to kill you and yours. And we'll try to hash this out as best we can rhetorically. Easy.
Cornel West should have stayed in his seat. We were debating free speech, actually, and whether
debating free speech.
Let me finish. And whether the overuse of words like Hitler, Nazis, and fascists was actually empowering deranged young minds to think they were battling actual new Hitler, Nazis, and fascists. And actually, when Andrew pointed out,
well, don't try to overthrow the government when we won't have a fucking problem. This is another thing that pisses me the fuck off, okay? People are like, oh, you're comparing us to Nazis and fascists. Well, it's like, yeah. You tried to overthrow the government January 6, 2021 through the false elector scheme. So, yeah, I do think that you're some breed of authoritarian. I think Trump would be a fascist. I just think he doesn't understand the concept. But I'm going to go ahead and read you an oath that I took twice, once as a law enforcement officer and once as a cop. Now, the law enforcement officer is a little bit different, but that's okay. U.S. Military Oath of Enlistment. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. So the whole point of this, in my opinion, is that we will follow the orders of the President of the United States, and we will follow the orders of the officers appointed over us in accordance to the regulations of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which means that if we get an illegal order, we are not meant to obey it. And the first thing that we swear allegiance to before we swear allegiance to the president or the officers or the military or anything like that is we swear allegiance to the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And if you want to destroy the Constitution of the United States and you are a domestic person, then you are by definition an enemy of the United States of America. You're just a domestic enemy of the United States of America. So yeah, like, do I think that Charlie Kirk needs to be killed? No. But do I think Charlie Kirk is flirting with trying to subvert the Constitution of the United States of America? Yes. Do I think Jack Posobiec doesn't give two shits about the Constitution of the United States of America? Yes. Is Jack Posobiec an ideological enemy the same way that leftists should be ideological enemies to liberals? Absolutely. And just since we have a bunch of extra people here, I'm going to show you another drawing that I think is relevant. My political project, insofar as I can identify it, is I believe that I'm a never Trump Republican, and what I drew today in reference to conservative and Republican values, I wholeheartedly still believe. So if you don't believe in those things, that's fine. That's what I believe in. I think there are sane progressives who want what's best for the country. I think there's sane liberals who want what's best for the country. I think there's sane never Trump Republicans, contrarians, and neocons, and maybe some MAGA people who want what's best for the country. I will work with whoever has sane policy in order to stabilize the United States of America and try to save the Republic of the United States. However, I will not be working with the far left, people who want to overthrow the United States of America. I will not be working with the dissident right, the people who want to overthrow the states of the United States of America, unless it's on a single issue. If Vosh wants to go do trash cleanup in a local park and work at a soup kitchen, I'll go to a soup kitchen with Vosh. If Nick Fuentes wants to pick up trash on the side of the road as a part of a volunteer day, I'll go to the Groyper trash pickup volunteer drive, okay? But I am not working in order to further their political ends. I will work to further the political ends of this group. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Quick show before we get back into it. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage in chat. I parasocially love you. Thank you for being here. Super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them.
To Cornell, that he had used the phrase neo-fascist about Trump. That's
Trump is a political corporatist and a flexible authoritarian. While I have extra people, we're going to go ahead and bring this up. Political corporatism is the belief that you should treat the nation state as a body. Look, I drew this drawing for you and it even has a penis on it. So political corporatists believe that culture are the bones of a society. The skin is the defensive military aspect. The government is the brain. The economy is the heart. White blood cells are law enforcement. The digestive system are hospice, asylums, public hospitals, the things that help us digest things that aren't necessarily going to be good for us if they go unchecked. And then what I would say the dick and balls are, the twig and berries, if you will, is a pronatal culture that conservatism that propagates society. Political corporatism is half of fascism. The other half of fascism means that as a flexible authoritarian, you will do whatever it takes in order to seize power of the political corporative body and advocate for the general health of the political corporative body's interest. Now, what's interesting about that is when you view politics through a political corporatist lens, which I do, but when you're using flexible authoritarianism in order to achieve and maintain power, what ends up happening is you will excuse any bad behavior by your side as necessary in order to seize power. And you will often identify your enemies as parasites, viruses, and bacteria who need to be expelled by the white blood cell in the skin. You will describe Jews or blacks or Hispanics or gays or trans or progressives as cancers who threaten the existence of the political corporative body and therefore need to be expelled. And that's why you have mass killings, authoritarianism, control of the media, the dispossession of people who work in the economy, who disagree with you politically. And so while I'm a political corporatist, I'm still a Republican. I still believe in the rule of law. I still believe in representative democracy. I still believe in the process in which the republic tries to maintain power. I still believe that democracy is the worst form of government except for all the other ones. Once again, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That's when Cornell decided he couldn't take part in the debate anymore, when he was reminded of something he had said. He didn't try and deny it. He just said, I don't want to have this debate, and left.
Piers, how long have you been in the United States, like following our politics?
Over 20 years, I've lived and worked in America.
Okay, if you've lived and worked in America, I grew up as a conservative listening to Rush Limbaugh and to Glenn Beck and to Billy Cunningham and to Sean Hannity. You're going to sit here and pretend like Democrats are the ones that started the name calling? I heard them call Obama and the Clinton
didn't say that.
True. Obama was a pinko commie, fascist, homosexual Muslim who was on the verge of destroying the country through Operation Jade Helm. Listen, man. Half the people took all that shit serious. Half the people thought it was memes. Now it's no longer memes. People are getting murdered.
When did I say that?
Heard them I'm just saying, why are we pretending that some people...
I'm saying, why did Cornel West household? Why would Cornel West walk out on a debate when we're literally talking?
Get him, Andrew.
About the importance of speech. Makes no sense to me.
If speech is important, then the president should exercise it more cautiously.
So
True.
Should you?
Republicans.
True.
And Republicans have been...
True.
You can't stop.
You've got millions of followers, and you think it's fine to show them you're mocking a widow.
You cannot choose for your opponent not to fight you.
Fine.
If Republicans won't turn down the rhetoric, then fine. Then who cares? Donald Trump shouldn't have used the rhetoric that led her to be killed. 2 days before she dies.
Listen, lefties who think that the dude is going to be like it's a 50-50 shot, it's a groiper versus a left winger. I think you're coping, but that's okay. I'll be happy to be proven wrong. Let's say that we get the Twitter DMs. Let's say that we get the Discord DMs. Let's say that we get all that shit. And he's like, lol, I actually don't even care about politics. I'm doing this as a shit post. I will update my perspective. If we get Twitter DMs where he's hanging out in a trans group that was saying, oh shit, you need to lay low because you look exactly like the shooter. I know groipers sexualize trans people because they're, they're freaks who don't actually have any principles, right? I understand that. I understand that groipers sexualize trans people, okay? However, if you think that hanging out in a trans Discord is common in groipers, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't think they're laughing about the assassination of a fascist with trans people. I think they're probably more busy telling trans people to kill themselves. So once again, I think you're coping. I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Even widows?
This is all, it's just virtue signaling. You guys are excited about it. You guys love it.
How is it that you said this guy can't possibly be a leftist?
It's exciting to you. It's insane to me.
Yeah.
No.
True. I'm with Andrew. Destiny actually just made the point that he came from a conservative family and he's a lefty guy. So it doesn't make sense to say he's a white Christian conservative from a white Christian conservative family. Plenty of left-wing people emanate from conservative circles.
How is it that you said this guy can't be a leftist because he grew up in a white Christian household when you grew up in a white Christian household by your own admission just now and you're leftist, Destiny?
This is a coherent point. He's not a leftist, but this is a coherent point.
Me?
I'm 36 years old. This guy was 22 and he lived at home.
What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything?
I had 20 years to separate myself from my parents' ideology.
Yeah, this is a weird hill to die on. I don't think this is a good hill.
I didn't live with them still. Jesus.
So 6 months, 1 year, 20 years? Why does it matter how long it took to separate? You just got to say it was impossible. And you yourself are a leftist who grew up in a Christian conservative household, dude. You're the worst hypocrite.
True.
I've ever seen.
Hold on. I'm sorry. You think that a 22-year-old has as much time to separate himself from the ideology that he grew up with?
Did I say that?
This is not strong argumentation.
36-year-old?
Didn't say
yeah, you just made the comparison, dipshit. Of course you did. It's not.
Let me ask you.
Look at you.
Let me jump in. Let me jump in. Let me ask Jack. Jack, you know the Kirk family well. You've been around the Kirk family, I think, since this appalling murder has happened. When you hear Destiny saying, who cares about the fact that he openly, publicly mocked Erica Kirk?
Yeah, I'm sure Jack cares.
A grieving widow within literally a day or two of her husband being murdered. How does that make you feel as a friend of the family?
It's very angry, Piers, and here's the thing is she's seeing all of it. She's going to see all of it. Her kids are going to watch this video one day. It's just, that's sort of the nature of reality now. They will see all of this and they will see the reaction. And I just hope that those of us who knew Charlie, worked with Charlie, who knew Charlie beyond the, TikToks and short videos.
Horror69 says nothing changes if Destiny condemns the violence. You're right. You're right. As a matter of fact, it's such a sane take to condemn violence that maybe Steven wouldn't even be invited on the show because he wouldn't have that hot of a take. But what I'm saying is it's a counterproductive tactic. It's hurting, in my opinion, Destiny's. How are you supposed to do it? Unfuck America is reeling right now because they were like following Charlie Kirk in order to debate him through his Q&A sections. And that's what they were doing. And Steven, to my knowledge, was the biggest creator who was actually interested in working with Unfuck America. Okay. How does Unfuck America partner with and pay for the security of a man who is currently on what's an equivalent of national TV, kind of laughing at conservatives being unwilling to condemn violence on their own end? But what's really being seen by normies and what's being seen by conservatives is that he won't just say, yeah, political murder is bad, right? How do you pay for Steven's security? And maybe the Unfuck America movement is going ahead. I have no fucking idea. But last I heard, I texted Z. I would say that we're at least friendly associates. I texted Z probably a day after Charlie was killed, and I said, "What's the plan?" And she was like, "I don't know." And I said, "Okay, well, give it a couple of days and get back to me and let me know what you guys are planning." And right now, I haven't heard dick. So I would be shocked if Unfuck America was moving ahead with public events with Steven. I really would. I could be surprised, but I would be surprised.
And can also be there for those kids as they grow up to let them know who their dad was.
And kids are going to grow up and watch old episodes.
And Eben, no, I haven't been able to review your Twitter thread. I apologize, but it's been a very busy couple of days.
Of Piers Morgan Uncensored. How performative is this? Is everybody here? Did we all get like a script before the show? What?
They watch a lot of old episodes of the JFK.
Embarrassing. You make the left look so bad, and you don't even realize it. You are seriously so embarrassing.
Steven, I think, is not engaging in good optics and also is making a tactical mistake. I do find some of what Anna says embarrassing in a completely different way.
Okay, yeah.
God.
You can talk to your best friend.
You really are.
About later,
do
have
you
another
feel
30-minute conversation about Anna.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will talk to Glenn Beck about it. Oh, is that is that naughty? Is it
how
naughty?
many conversations have you had with Nick? You had more conversations with Nick than anyone.
So mean. Oh no, not the meanies on Twitter.
Anna,
how many more lawsuits are you?
It's antisocial freakish behavior.
In a face from women that you allegedly secretly recorded during intimate moments, Destiny. I can't believe anyone takes you seriously.
Are you really?
You're
You want to pull out Twitter?
You're embarrassing, and you should be shunned from public life with your disgusting treatment of all sorts of people, including young left-wing girls, women
You're turning
that you
more
victimized
blonde
allegedly.
right now in the window. You're
that's who you
like
are.
2 shades.
I would love to do a What About Trump right here. I really would. I'll save you from it, though.
Away from
You're embarrassing. You embarrass the left. You're the type of person who pushes people away from the left. Make sure you understand that. You're embarrassing. There's no morality with you. There's no grounding values. There's no principles. All you want is attention, 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 attention. That's all you want.
Of course.
All you want. Endless attention. Say disgusting, provocative garbage.
Another friendly conversation with another mainstream conservative commentator about how you're such a leftist, but those people on Twitter are so mean.
Having a
Sorry for cynically laughing, but I've seen Anna's content in reference to that, and it does suck.
Debate or dialogue doesn't automatically mean that you agree with everything they have to say.
True. I definitely don't agree with Steven on everything he says.
It means you're coming
No, it's when you sit down and you're
exchanging ideas and debating them. No, I don't agree with everything they have to say. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Scourge of Wrath says, Vance took over the podcast, dude. Don't deny it's being used to the max by the Trump admin. I think I said the opposite. Like you guys like make up arguments and then fight against them. It's crazy.
I don't agree with everything they have to say. But you know, I'm an adult.
Sit down and all
I can sit down and have a mature debate or conversation.
You have no disagreements about anything on the right? Yeah, that's called agreement.
I do have criticisms for the left. I have tons of criticisms for the right. Tons of criticisms.
X-Ray Foreplay says, Connor, Destiny is disgusting. The more you work with him, your credibility goes down the drain. Call out the bullshit he's spewing. Is that not what we're doing right now? Is that not what I did yesterday? Sounds like you're new, X-Ray Foreplays. Sounds like you're fucking new.
I'm obviously
they don't seem to come out much when you're talking to your
I obviously have a huge problem with the unending, unmitigated support for Israel, regardless of the genocide they're engaging in. I have all sorts of disagreements with the right. That doesn't mean I'm going to dehumanize them and cheer on the slaughter of my fellow Americans because we...
I don't know if he technically did that.
We have disagreements on politics. You're embarrassed.
I wish anybody here had the same energy for the president of the United States, but that's good. I'm glad you guys are focused where it really counts on Twitter.
Dude, you have like...
Is he wrong?
TDS, like, you are like the prototype of TDS.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I don't like, sorry, real quick, I fucked that up. Let me add you back. I don't like the I'm a small bean argumentation. I don't think that applies to morality, but I just want to see the same energy. That's all I want to see. I want to see Jack Posobiec in a full suit with this exact face crying about dead Africans and dead Ukrainians and dead Central Americans and people who were deported to Sukkot and were tortured and sodomized. I want him to carry the same energy for that. I want to see Andrew Wilson be, because I don't think Andrew Wilson is going to cry over anybody getting shot or anybody getting tortured or deported or whatever. But I want him to at least say, like, and I'm sure he would, by the way, I want him to at least say, like, yeah, like it might be heartless not to give a fuck about foreigners, but I don't give a fuck about foreigners, so eat a dick, so I'm not going to cry about foreigners getting killed, tortured, murdered, whatever. Andrew Wilson would probably own that shit. But I want Anna, because she obviously has like a huge harp to play on in reference to Gaza and Palestine. I want her to keep that fucking shit for Ukraine. I want her to keep that shit for fucking Africa. I want her to keep that shit for when, Melissa Hortman gets murdered in Minnesota. I want her to have the same fucking energy, okay? And I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the same energy. So how about we have some consistency in our sadness, apathy, and anger when it comes to innocent people being killed? I would love some consistency.
Unbelievable. You wake up every morning and you decide your behavior is going to hinge on Trump.
Tell me more about the dancing Israelis and building 7 and how the Jews all knew about 9/11 and they all want us to go to war in the Middle East. Yeah, of course.
True. TYT recently said that it was the Jews who did 9/11. Amazing coverage. All right. Parasocial, love you guys. Have a beautiful day. Thank you. Thank you for the excellent stream. Sorry if I was grumpy. I'll see you tomorrow.